The siren's whine echoed through the dawn, bouncing off steel beams above the factory floor. Orange light squeaked in through dirty windows, mixing with sickly fluorescence. The only music I'd heard all night was the clatter of stamping presses. My hands trembled as I wiped sweat from my brow, still tasting burnt oil in the air, and somewhere the faint sweetness of bread wafting from a distant bakery, the city waking up as we were sent home. Dawn barely cracked as the shift supervisor, Don Rogelio, bellowed down the line. Time cards out, vests off, check your lockers, and váyanse. Every day the same, dismissed with a grunt, not so much as a nod. I snatched my backpack, worn soft at the straps, and walked out into the gray hush. My work sneakers slid a little on spilled coolant. Skinny Raul, barely more than a kid, shimmied up behind. Ánimo, bailador, he called, twisting dancer into an insult. Everyone laughed. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. Even the women in wax aprons on the rubber molding line. I heard ballet and tights ricocheting from their lips, their voices cold with the glee of the already defeated. Raúl slapped my back, grinning. Sería mejor que te buscaras novia, he said. Get yourself a girlfriend. Like being a man and following orders were two halves of the same broken coin. Nos vemos, I muttered, eyes on the ground. Outside, the street glowed blue with tired headlights. I walked past parked trucks and men with cigarettes, mothers herding children, and as always, around the edges of their laughter. On the bus home, I pressed my head to the window and tried to remember the count. 5, 6, 7, 8. Always in my skull, even under the roar of engines and the pounding reality of pesos earned and dreams spent. My hamstrings ached. But worse still, between my lungs and ribs was that small throbbing bruise left by every stupid joke, every reminder that here a grown man dancing was little more than an animal out of place. Home in the barrio, brick and dust and tangle of electric wires framed the sky. My mother met me at the door, apron still on, her eyes as red as my knuckles from too many nights spent folding other people's shirts. Come, hijo, she said quietly, not asking how bad the shift was. Our apartment was tidy, narrow. She poured coffee, filled the kitchen with warmth I rarely felt anywhere else. My little brother, Mateo, shuffled sleepily on the couch. My mother glanced at my sore hands. "You're sure you won't sign up for double shifts?" she asked, voice nearly breaking. "You know No, Mama. I'll stop at the studio later. I promised them I'd clean tonight in exchange for rehearsal time." Her mouth tightened. I saw the fear there, fear that it was only me, leaning on air, chasing what? A fantasy, everyone said. The neighbors, Tío Samuel, from across the street, whose back was shaped by rebar, laughed every Sunday at my expense. It hurt, more than the 10-hour shifts, more than the jokes. Most afternoons, after sleeping through half the day, I would slick on cracked sneakers and walk across the neighborhood to the faded yellow building where a dusty plaque read, Escuela de Artes. To most, it was the crumbling studio above a print shop. For me, it was a dream's entire address. Inside, posters curled at the corners, images of Odette, Nureyev, Azteca, ballerinas and breakdancers frozen in impossible leaps. The floor creaked under my steps as I swept sawdust and cigarette butts. Upstairs, the ballet instructor, Señora Ramirez, watched me with kind suspicion. Once, she danced for the National Ballet, her ankles now thick and veined, her voice unwithered. "Why do you keep coming back?" she asked me once, pausing as I mopped the mirror panels. "Do you think this will be easy?" I shrugged. "It's not easy," I said. She stared a moment, then nodded and let me stay an hour past closing. For weeks, that was the bargain. Mop floors, close up, then practice. Alone, under dim bulbs, chasing music on a Bluetooth speaker no one wanted stolen. I moved, stretching aching calves, feeling the snap and resistance of muscles sculpted by labor, not pedigree. Some nights a group lingered upstairs, girls with stern faces and strong feet, boys with backs curved like bows. I watched, envied, until one dared me. "Show us something, factory boy." I did, clumsy salsa steps folding into tentative pirouettes. Their laughter was gentler than the factory's, but it was still laughter. I tried again, blushing, but I did not stop. At home, my aunt asked, "How's El Artista today?" "Maybe you'll dance at quinceañeras en la calle." Even my mother, gentle as she was, sometimes avoided meeting my eyes. She worried for me, I knew. Once my father, absent since I was 9, came to visit, stood in front of the TV with a beer, shaking his head. "You don't eat pride. You don't pay rent with dreams." I nodded, though inside I wanted to scream, I know, more than anyone I know. Humiliation thickened around me, a coat I wore everywhere. In line for tortillas, at soccer games, even when sitting alone on rooftops. I could feel it, itchy and burning. But in the empty studio, under the sharp tang of resin and wood, when the echo of my footsteps kept time, something in me floated. I let myself believe, just for an hour, that I was more than mistake, more than a joke. Years passed like this, shift after shift, pesos counted, muscles burning. Sometimes, as dawn broke over the city sprawl, I felt the old sorrow, even anger, catch in my throat. I grew lean. My hands grew strong. I borrowed worn tapes from Señora Ramirez, watched Swan Lake on her scratch DVD until I could recite every gesture. At night, on rooftops, I rehearsed steps under stars, the city as my audience. I auditioned twice for the city's dance school. Both times, I left empty-handed at sunrise, listening to others celebrate in the stairwell. The family took it as proof. I was wasting time. I nearly broke. Nearly. But late one rainy afternoon, the director, a bearded Spaniard, appeared at the studio. "I need someone who can teach cumbia to foreigners. Your name came up," he said, glancing over paperwork. It wasn't a full scholarship or a contract, but it was a step. I accepted. In the next months, I taught basic steps, invented routines, made clumsy jokes in English. The tourists loved it. Some even returned. In exchange, I joined morning classes for free. Señora Ramirez helped. "You have fire," she said. "Don't let anyone steal it." Still, the laughter at home and the factory hadn't stopped. If anything, my absence increased suspicion. My sister told friends, loud enough for me to hear, that I would be someone else by now if only I'd straightened out. The neighbors glanced away when I walked by with a duffel bag. Humiliation had turned from sharp to dull now, not alleviated, but endured. I learned patience the way you learn to bear hunger, quietly, angrily. Everything changed one night, years later. At a competition in Tlatelolco, I danced for a panel of bored judges. I barely heard the applause. But a producer saw me there, a woman with a silver streak in her hair and an accent not quite from here. She tracked me down backstage. "You move like an echo," she said. "Come audition for my company." That night, nerves nearly unraveled me. At the tryout, I saw faces I knew well. Students of famous teachers, children from wealthy colonias. I felt my hands shake as I filled out the form, listing my experience in cleaning floors and teaching gringos. They called my name and I moved. Everything I'd learned, every muscle forged in sweat and ridicule poured out on the floor. I heard nothing, not even breath, until it was over. The producer watched me, silent. She didn't smile. She only wrote a number and left. A week later, a call. "You're in." The woman's voice cracked into laughter. "Bienvenidos, maestro." I started as a substitute, filling in for injured dancers, rehearsing until dawn, eating cold tamales in back